person has died after a highway collapse on I-95 in Philadelphia, with local and federal officials now investigating what happened. Pennsylvania State Police confirmed they found a body on this stretch of that major highway that runs through Philadelphia after a crash. It happened on an off-ramp of 95. Officials say the driver lost control. The truck flipped. The whole thing erupts into flames. Part of the highway above it, you see the smoke here? That's the highway above it that had caved in, leading to what it looks like tonight. Right now, that whole chunk of the northbound lane's gone. Officials also shut down the southbound lanes. They were worried about the structural integrity there. We've got more on that in a minute. This is a huge deal, this shutdown, because remember, this is one of the East Coast's biggest highways. Hundreds of thousands of people use it, including truckers who transport stuff across the country.
Just to be clear, swiftly is not going to be overnight. We're talking about major structural work. Definitely not days. I mean, if it's weeks, it's not, we're not talking about a couple of weeks here.
That's part of why Pennsylvania's governor today is signing a disaster declaration to try to get federal money fast so they can start rebuilding this thing ASAP. It's also because the whole thing's creating a commuting nightmare, right? Like, people just can't get to where they're going. It's taken them a longer time. We talked to actually somebody giving us a firsthand look at what that commute looks like now.
All right, pulling up where 95 is closed now. Gotta take care of Mingo. That's like 4 exits away from where I normally get off. And just getting off here at Mingo. Yep. Squeeze in here.
I want to bring in Emily Aketa, who is live there for us in Philly. And Emily, this is such a significant piece of the highway, and we're learning new details even tonight. We obviously have not heard from police identifying the person who died in this crash, but bring us up to speed on the details we are learning.
Well, Hallie, one of the things I really pressed officials on today were the circumstances that led to this inferno, leading to the billowing plumes of smoke high into the sky. And they say it was the result of a crash, a tanker coming around the bend not far from where I'm standing. As it curved, the driver reportedly lost control, and that tanker, keep in mind, carrying 8,500 gallons of gasoline, according to officials, tipped over, it ruptured, and it burst into flames. Those flames burning beneath the overpass behind me, and ultimately leading to the bridge, the overpass collapsing on the northbound side, the other side from what you're seeing behind me. And I was talking to engineering experts about what happens when these types of overpasses are exposed to extended amounts of time of heat. There are these things called girders, almost these steel lining supports beneath the overpasses. When they are exposed to high levels of heat, we're talking about 700 degrees Fahrenheit, 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, they can actually begin to melt. They become weakened, and ultimately they collapse. And experts tell me that is what happened in this situation. Crews today have been working to clear out 500 tons of debris behind me, and we've seen they've been making significant progress on the northbound side. But keep in mind, they also determined today that the southbound side, what you're seeing behind me, kind of the charred out lanes over my shoulder on the left here, that has also been compromised. So now they will be demolishing that later this week. And so both sides, the northbound and southbound side of this I-95 major interstate, will need to be rebuilt, and we're talking a matter of months, Hallie.
We'll talk about that timeline, Emily, right? Because we heard from Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg saying it's going to be weeks, plural. The Pennsylvania governor says maybe months. What does that mean for the supply chain, right? The truckers, the people you're talking about who use it?
Well, the ripple effects, the impacts we're seeing is not just in this immediate area, but in the northeast region, according to the Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. You think about I-95, it's this major corridor connecting Maine all the way down to Florida, connecting some of the major cities, including New York City, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. Just on this section behind me, 160,000 vehicles typically traverse this section of the roadway every day, many of those truckers. And so Pete Buttigieg is anticipating a major impact to supply chain, not to mention the commuters. You look at any of those navigational apps on your phone right now, and the whole region is covered in red as so many commuters are led off of the highway onto local roads or onto public transit. Take a listen here.
Everyone's just going to have to adjust. We're probably going to have to wake up a little earlier, show up on time.
It's just crazy how this can affect everyday life as much as it is.
And officials say before the crash, this roadway, this overpass was sound. The section of roadway was part of a reconstruction $212 million project that was just completed some 5 years ago. And now crews are having to rebuild, start from square one again, Hallie.
Emily Aketa live for us there in Philadelphia. Emily, thank you. Down south, you're about